Right now at 10, we continue to follow the latest developments out of Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. tonight after two major airplane crashes just days apart. Good evening, I'm Stephen Reels, and thanks for joining us here on the Fox 61 News at 10. Now, there's a lot to unpack tonight, but before we do, we just want to warn you that what you are about to see could be disturbing, so just keep that in mind. Here's what we know so far. 7 people are dead and more than a dozen others were injured after a medevac jet crashed last night just after 6. Mexican President Claudio Sheinbaum confirmed that 6 passengers on the jet were killed, and that includes a child who had just got done receiving treatment at a Philadelphia hospital with her mother on board. Philadelphia's Mayor Sherelle Parker says one person in a car is among those killed as well, and the death toll could rise in the coming days. Now, we do have different camera angles of when the plane came down flying out of the sky and slammed into the ground. On the top left of your screen is the dash cam video from a vehicle. It shows a big fireball after the plane crashes into the ground. Then on the top right is a door camera footage. Now, if you look closely there, you can see the plane speeding towards the ground very quickly. On your bottom left is the video of the massive crash site with debris scattered throughout the local neighborhood. And finally, in the bottom right is where all the first responders arrived on the scene. After this happened, a man who witnessed this crash spoke with reporters about what he saw.
You just hear everybody say, "Get down, get down, get down." And when everybody say get down, we all get down. But I just see the plane is getting lower and lower and lower. It nipped the house. When it nipped the house, it hit a couple cars. Boom! And to the plaza, and to the Dunkin' Donuts, everywhere. I never seen nothing like that a day in my life. I have never seen nothing like that.
Philadelphia's managing director says there is a lot of unknowns right now about who was where on the streets of the neighborhood at the time of the accident.
We have a lot of unknowns about who was where on the streets of this neighborhood last night at the time of impact. So it will likely be days or more until we are able to definitively answer the question about the number of folks who perished in this tragedy and the outcome for those who are injured.
The cause of the crash is still under investigation. Now to Washington, D.C. Authorities say they expect to eventually find all 67 people who died in a tragic crash when a passenger jet collided with a military helicopter over the Potomac River late Wednesday night. Take a look at your screen. The remains of 41 people have already been pulled from the river as of Friday afternoon, and 28 of those have been identified. Yesterday, investigators found the helicopter's black box after finding the regional jet's box the day before. Investigators say the cockpit audio and other flight data could help them piece together how the crash actually happened. One key focus so far is on the air traffic controllers working at the time of the crash. An FAA report showed that staffing levels were not normal when the crash happened.
We'll look at their training, their hiring, everything, what they probably ate that day.
The NTSB also says interviews are expected to take place over the next few days as investigators continue trying to download that data from the black boxes. Now we're starting to learn more about those killed. You can see some of those people behind me. Reporter Simone de Alba is in Washington, D.C., and she shares what she's learned so far.
Families across the country grieving as they come to terms with this tragedy, sharing their lives and their stories with the world. This is 28-year-old Samuel Lilly, one of the pilots on board the American Airlines flight. In a Facebook post, Lily's father said, quote, "Now it hurts so bad I can't even cry myself to sleep. I know I'll see him again, but my heart is breaking." Ryan O'Hara, the crew chief on board the Black Hawk helicopter. He leaves behind a wife and a 1-year-old son. The D.C. midair collision is hitting the ice skating community especially hard. U.S. Figure Skating confirms the plane's passengers included several of its members who had ties to clubs in Massachusetts and Virginia. Members of the Skating Club of Boston also on that flight. Athlete Jenna Hahn and her mother Jin. Athlete Spencer Lane and his mom Christine. Coaches Vadim Nomov and Zhenya Shishkova were also on board. Wendy Jo Schaefer, a mother and a wife from North Carolina. She leaves behind her husband and 2 boys, ages 3 and 1. and 53-year-old flight attendant Ian Epstein, based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. His family says he was full of life. He loved being a flight attendant because he truly enjoyed traveling and meeting new people. But his true love was his family. He leaves behind 2 children. Just a few of the faces, the lives, the families forever changed in a moment.
And we're closely watching the latest developments coming out of Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. And you can catch all the breaking news on it on Fox61.com, the free Fox 61 News app, and streaming anytime for free on Fox 61 Plus.